So yeah, folks, edit this into the video before it really starts. I screwed up, and the red capture footage that I used through all of it that I didn't realize at the time, and I didn't even actually mention it in a review, so now that I think it was a double screw up. The actual screen size of the Galaxy S23 is larger than 16 by 9. I think it might be 18 or something, but I'm not 100% sure. And um, so every clip in the entire video was through that, and thus, with the screen recorder having it set to 16 by 9, um, all of my inputs with actually playing the games and the emulator were cut off. I didn't notice that at the time. So sorry about that. So anytime that I say in the video there's footage directly correlated in the video, may or may not be what I'm talking about at the time, but I will mention it in the video. Not directly true. The rest of this video after this point will just be a black screen because I screwed up. But what I will do is I recorded the parts in which I actually talk about specific points. It's not really just B-roll footage, and I will have those unlisted on Library and Odyssey. So I will have the link there, and if y'all want to actually see what I'm directly correlating, that will be linked. And to make up for it, I will do sort of like I've already done, but I will do more videos that are on YouTube, so it goes fully to it in 8K with the anime. Those have to be short because 8K takes up a lot of memory. So the long stuff will still be Kipper and Friends with Library and Odyssey. But I guess to make up for where I frankly screwed up, I will do some videos on 8K, probably shorts, with Bluetooth. So Odyssey and Library will have the unlisted, the things I'm talking about directly and not just B-roll footage, and Bluetooth will have a little bit of 8K videos because that's too high of a bit rate for Library and Odyssey. So there you go. So the preference that, yeah, I screwed up. So sorry, the rest of this is a black screen. I didn't realize this stuff was cut off at the time. That's my own fault. My bad. So yeah, now into the video and hopefully some pet video. No telling when that will be because they have to do stuff which they are currently not. Welcome to my review of various video game emulators on the phone that I will also review as well, the Samsung Galaxy S23. All in which you're seeing is through the phone, both the footage of the emulator and my voice itself being recorded through the speaker of the phone. So take that as you may to begin, and also just in general, if you're not really familiar with my channel, I ain't exactly a professional reviewer of about anything really. I guess you could say about the closest to what I could review is maybe stuff in Gran Turismo games, and then even that kind of is much more of it's just kind of silly and screwing around. It kind of also goes with what's on camera. Is sometimes it'll be more serious or not, and then sometimes it may or may not correlate to what I'm actually talking about. But I will try to at least talk about it at some point in the video what is on screen at another point, or maybe even that point if I'm lucky. Two, I'm sure y'all can kind of get where I'm going with this. I don't script the videos. I just do better with natural flow of things. So anyway, let's get into it, folks. As I said in previous videos, the main two reasons I bought the Galaxy S, well, sort of three, I'll start with the two that I kind of already said, and the third maybe you can infer, is before the phone I had was a Galaxy S7, and just one, that's 10 years old now. Got this phone for Black Friday last year. So yeah, the S7 in general is getting old. It's working fine, but nowadays with the modern Bluetooth way to go at ad block and stuff, they make it to where it uses all the memory and stuff, old technology and all that. So the phone itself, like the things on the phone that were meant to be on the phone, good as ever, really, but stuff like modern YouTube or trying to do modern games or whatever, not so much. So that was one reason. And then the other two, I'm banking on that technology in general is going to go up in price because of chips and this world events and all that kind of stuff. So kind of already seeing this with computers, so I'm just kind of theorizing that would be phone. So I figured if I'm going to get something, might as well get it now, while relatively speaking to the near future is what I'm banking on. It's cheaper to get it then in the future, especially if the phone quits working or whatever and I have to get it. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, this in general with that, I went in a little bit more specifics on other previous videos, but this video is more of a review of what the phone itself can do. I will go more over the phone stuff at the end because I assume the majority of people watching and probably want to hear more about the emulators and stuff. So yeah, I'll start with that. The only two games that I'm going to say straightforward is Gran Turismo 4 and MX vs. ATV Unleashed, because I don't want to spoil the other things. But I will say the emulators in general. GT4, specifically the Spec 2 mod, and MX vs. ATV Unleashed are on the Nether mod, which is like a ether or something like that. And done in a way in which it doesn't have ads. So with the Nether, I can play PS2 games at 1080p, 90 or so percent of the time. MX vs. ATV Unleashed runs 1080p the whole time, and no flaws or anything. I mean, I haven't done every single vehicle at every single track and every single way and stuff, but even in like cinematic cams and stuff like that, I haven't really noticed any slowdown or frame rate drop or anything like that. Realistically, there's no point in me really playing much other or higher than 1080p, because all library and Odyssey can take is 1080p at 30 frames per second, or else it's too high of a bit rate. So and I'm pretty sure the PS2 games in general are 30 frames per second anyway. Me being legally blind, I mean, I can tell kind of a racing game, the feel of how the cars are 30 versus 60, but the literal visual of it, not really. If I have the option, I'll play a racing game at 60 because it just feels slightly better to drive, but yeah, I'm legally blind, not big of a deal. So generally speaking, it ends up being 1080p and 60 frames per second, or no, 30 frames per second. I already screwed that up. But I'm pretty sure it could do 60 if I absolutely wanted it to, for the most part. But what it doesn't do, and even really at 720, so I might as well leave it at 1080, is the city tracks on GT4 for the most part. If I had to guess this off the top of my head, probably the best overall looking track that it can do fine is what y'all have already seen, the Seta the Aria, and at some point of being in this video, maybe you're seeing it now, who knows, Tahiti Maze. That seems to be about the max of the potential what it can do. City tracks, Seattle, Special Stage, New York, all the city tracks, don't really run at all. At some point, too, I'll showcase that. Luckily, GT4, especially with the Spec 2, it's not really that big of a deal, because then I can just put it in B-Spec to beat the career mode, and also just with Spec 2, in general, it changes it around and adds a lot of things to where you can kind of play the game how you want it. I haven't done it yet, but there's an event synthesizer and there's a random prize card thing and all kinds of stuff. With Spec 2, this isn't really a direct review of Spec 2, but that's the game that I'm playing that you're seeing, so I might as well mention it. In there, maybe I would do a whole Spec 2 review in general, but we'll see on that, no guarantees. But yeah, so realistically with GT4, I doubt y'all are really going to be seeing much gameplay of the city tracks. I know tested other games on there too, and they weren't good. I'm not going to spoil other games because most likely y'all will see some other games too. But yeah, as well as the Nether one, I think it's something like X2 or and all that. I guess there's really no point in me linking the stuff because you have to get it for your specific phone. I mean, obviously Android, but I'm pretty sure even it matters of what exact GPU and stuff like that. It's Snapdragon is, I think, graphics. I'm not too good on phone stuff. What I focused on in college was definitely more like research based, not really, and even that with computer, not so much phone, and even that got completely replaced by it's Snapdragon on the newest Android update. This phone I think is supposed to be updated like 2028 or something like that. I think. So yeah, that's the specifics with that. You have to get it per what you're running, obviously, and yeah. So overall, again, this isn't really direct review of the games itself, but GT4 is definitely the game that struggles the most. Pretty much all the other games are barely anything noticed differently, and it's all an improvement of how I played them as a kid. The way that I'm doing it, because from how I understand it, it is legal as long as you own the game. I didn't buy the actual hardware to make the PS2 itself into a mod, but or modded, whatever. But the games that I've featured, y'all have actually seen before. GT4, I mean, obviously, I've done not a full review of the specific game. I've talked about GT4 plenty of videos, and there's some GT4 videos too. There's like one or two MX Thursday TV videos, at least videos from at this point a mile and a half ago, but still on there too. So from how I understand it, as long as you initially bought the game, it's fine. Granted, I think you technically sort of meant to get the most performance out of it is to use an actual PS2 and mod that, but I mean, yeah, whatever. It does perfectly fine just using it directly with phone, and it's free. I have almost no money to spend. There wasn't really any money that I spent. I spent it on the phone. If the PS4 breaks, no more PS4 videos. If the PS3 breaks, I still have the other one from college, so I'm probably alright there, but then that means the replays are different and such. There's different replays on different systems, and where I don't have PlayStation Plus, it doesn't carry over, so that's awkward too. But if a PS4 breaks, I really am screwed. So there's that. And I'd rather even not get a controller either. So yeah. But the point being is that yeah, the money ain't really there for that kind of stuff, and especially not a fancy gaming PC. That's not realistically going to happen in the ever future. Would even really say near. I doubt I would end up doing that just of how PC gaming is going in general. I don't know if, even if I had the money, I don't really know if I'd have more value to spend tons of money on a PC of how insanely expensive the prices have gotten. So, yeah, there's that. So anyway, for the Nether, it has no ads. I think the default was like the Aether, and it was the older, sort of more original one. And it has ads, so that's why I went with the Nether one. There's no ads, and it runs good. I haven't tested the Ether if that runs a little bit better. I haven't really tested other PS2 ones, except at the very beginning. I actually tried the Demon Damien or something like that. I think it's like DAEMON or something like that. And I couldn't really get it worked at all. And I actually did that within like the first week or two of getting the phone itself because I was really excited to do emulation type games, and that was one of the few that I heard of for any phone with whatever year make or any of that. It was, at that point, I really only knew two or three for phones, and that just didn't really work with what I was using at all. I don't know if that was my error or whatever. A lot of people seem to say that David was iffy with some stuff, so yeah, whatever, no big deal. For my phone specifically, don't do the demon, whatever. I was really excited to do emulators and stuff because my previous phone of the Samsung Galaxy S7 could barely even run PS1 games. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge for what's coming next. And that phone didn't really have all that much memory either. So, I mean, even I've talked about it in videos as much as like 2019. Even after downloading all the apps that I use, I would have like 3 or 4 gigabytes left of memory, and then that's pretty much what I use to record. One of the great benefits of the S23, which I know I'm going a little bit out of order, but I'm talking about storage, so that kind of ties into both, is it advertises as 128 gigabytes. You actually get 128 gigabytes. With the S7, it advertises as 32, but I swear, maybe I messed up somewhere or another. I don't know. I didn't get the phone new. Someone else in the family had it before me. From how I remember, maybe only 12 to 15 or something like that was available, and that's even after doing the best I can to get rid of the default apps and stuff. So that's a plus to the S23 is this more memory. In general, but again, back to the other stuff. Yeah, yet again, I'm definitely not a professional reviewer, but yeah, for the Nether XX, yeah, positive. I don't know to fully rate it at a 10, especially because I have no experience with any emulators on any other phone, so I'm not really to rate it score it at 10, but it's good. It works well. Next up, I guess because I already somewhat spoiled it, is Duck Station. I think it's the oldest of all the emulators. I'll mention that one's very much well known, and it works very well. I'm not going to spoil the game because I haven't showed it yet. There actually hasn't been any of it directly on the channel, but I've talked about the game, comparing it to others, and if you show my channel, you can probably guess the PS1 game. That'll be something, and there will be videos of it in the future. And also something that I didn't mention before either is with all of them, it by default will have the controls to equal of like the controller of the system on the screen. So with PS2 and PS1, that's basically the same, but some other emulators will go off the controller of what the system itself is. But also with all of them, I was able to get the PS4 controller to work at least to some degree or another. I'll get to that in a bit, but it works great with Nether and Duck Station. So that's something to do, is PS4 controller just with the wireless Bluetooth, all that going, without being plugged in and all that works fine. There's of course going to be delays and stuff, like especially if a racing game at more precision type Gran Turismo 4, pretty picking noticeable. I mean, just screwing around with PS1 stuff, not really that big of a deal. It's harder to review it as much without spoiling the games, I guess, but I'll say this, I played one PS1 game a whole heck of a more than the rest. You can probably guess what it is, and that one I'm actually able to run if I want to play it on my own in 4K, and it runs great. And I would say all in all, DuckStation probably the one that of all of them that works the best, but it is also the oldest console in which it's being emulated, so that makes sense. From what I know, it's the oldest of the emulators that I'm using. It's running the oldest of the systems, so yeah, it makes sense that it works the best. So very much great reviews and no ads. None of the ones I'm mentioning have ads. So yeah, DuckStation also good. Yeah, the kind of the middle point of it, I'll go to the ones that didn't work before I talk about the others. It's kind of just a good mid intermission type thing. I was not able to get I think it's like Winulator to work. I am legally blind and I couldn't figure out a way on the emulator itself to make anything bigger, whether it's the actual font or just zoom in on it itself. I couldn't really figure that out. That's something if you know if when you later to leave it in the comments if there's a way to like zoom in, whether it's just with the phone itself or on the app itself to make the fonts bigger and stuff. I couldn't really see what I was doing. I thought that it was just gonna emulate Windows games, but it like emulates the whole Windows experience, but with a phone. So like you can move around the cursor and stuff with the phone itself, and all that. You don't have to have a mouse connected to it or anything. I guess you could, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't tried that because I just simply uh, can't see it. So I don't know if it's that it doesn't work with the phone. I just couldn't get it to work. But one that most certainly, and again, if y'all have tips to make the font bigger, that actually would be greatly appreciated because there are some games I would want to try with that PC game. But one that just didn't work at all was and any and all I guess for this one too. Any Xbox old emulators. Apparently, there was a very new thing added for the original Xbox can work with some Android phones. I wasn't able to get it work, so maybe it's just the newest of new stuff. To me, it's really weird that I've heard of PS2 working with Android phones for many, many years, and I'm pretty sure I've reposted videos and stuff of that on Library and Odyssey for many, many years. But it literally that happened to end up working well as I was actually searching stuff about emulators in general. It happened to like within the week of me starting to search, only a few weeks ago in total, as of recording this video. An original Xbox emulator started. Damn it. None of them worked with what I use. It probably just needs the newest phone or something like that. I just couldn't get that to work. Also, it makes sense with this one. Xbox 360 emulator. What was extremely weird to me is it seems like the Xbox 360 emulator existed longer than the original Xbox. I don't know about that one, but it didn't work either. I guess it makes sense that Xbox 360 wouldn't work with the original, and either that one also didn't. Same with the PS3. I couldn't get that one working either. So, although straightforward both with the Xbox 360 and the PS3 one. It said outright firmware, so I'm like 90% that just means my phone literally doesn't run it. It would take like a newer, more powerful phone, whatever it might be, and I don't really have the money or need for that. I'll get to the phone review itself, but my phone does plenty of what I need it to do. All things considered, I don't really need a PS3 era emulator. It would be nice to make the videos better and stuff, but I don't even know about trying to transfer replay files to that anyway. What I already have and such, so y'all are still gonna see the special tape and the PS3 stuff in the old-fashioned way. There's nothing I can really do about that for probably many, many, many years, and even then, I don't know how it works with transferring replay files. So, yeah, none of those work. But back to what did is the Flycast emulator. That is for Sega Dreamcast. The Flycast emulator that's kind of what I hinted with the controller. The PS4 controller is obviously not a Sega Dreamcast controller, so it wasn't a perfect one-to-one with that, but I was able to sort of kind of make it work depending on the games they're playing. Some worked better than others, and of course there was some delay with that, but all in all, I mean, I was only a little kid using it, so obviously small hands. 80+% of the time that I played the Sega Dreamcast was when I was a little kid. I couldn't get the controller really to work then. Little hands as a little kid. Even as far as I think the last time I played a physical, it's still somewhere. I still have the physical Sega Dreamcast somewhere. That's what I'm saying too about the emulating too. Is I actually own the game. I told the stories about, as well as ending not to spoil tons, but I've actually told a story about it. So if you want to really look at old videos or just know the lore off the top of your head, which I'm really not expecting that. The first game that I remember playing, and I've talked about that before too. I still have that. I still have the Dreamcast. I still have the game. But as of last time that I actually played it, which was like 2017, I think it was, still didn't particularly like the controller. So and by then the controller was 18, 19 years old too. So the controller itself was it was great with the little screen on it and stuff you take out. That was genius. But the controller design itself, not so much on that. So even with kind of a wonky PS4 controller, I'd argue that I still kind of prefer that over the actual Dreamcast controller. It might be sacrilegious or whatever, I know, but I didn't really grow up with that. But at the time, I was quite young. I already had a PS2. So, yeah, I wish Sega continued in general. If there would have been beyond a Dreamcast, I probably would have bought it. But anyway, the point being is the emulator itself emulates the games great. It can run. I've actually only done 1080p with it. I haven't tested 4K. Of all of the emulators, the Flycast is the one that I've played the least. But yeah, it still gets a good review with that. There's not much can do for controllers. PS4 is not a Sega controller straight forward there, but it works. And finally, is probably the most well known of all the emulators is PPSSPP. It's the kind of default. I think even the most popular for Windows. Any could be any and all. I'm pretty sure it's popular for all the systems. PlayStation Portable emulator. Not gonna spoil the game, but kind of like with PS1. And if you know the channel, you could probably guess the game. And there will be videos of it in the future as well. But anyway, that one is pretty much perfect. Actually, I can even play it in 4K, except for certain, kind of like GT4. I'll put it like that. That really spoils what it is, but I'll keep to my word, not directly say it. But yeah, it's kind of like GT4 is. An understatement. You know what I'm talking about. I'll say this: the PSP game in 4K still doesn't look as good as GT4 in 1080p. So take that as you may. Dude, but I could play that one except for kind of the same situation with GT4 on that. With that one, I downscaled to 1080 and it works good enough. But I'm pretty sure those are all definitely 30 frames per second, no matter what. That's just what the PSP was, I'm pretty sure. The PSP, I don't even think was 480p. As much as it got touted as a good piece of technology then, it couldn't even do standard definition like what TVs were doing generation upon generation before. So, I mean, I liked the PSP when I had it, but I had it and played it probably all in all over 1,000 hours, and I mean, I have plenty of memories with it, but it's not like it was a game changer or anything like that. It's just somewhat as a pun, but to change into the other stuff as well. So really, of all of them that worked, I'd review as good. Probably like the best one is Duck Station, but I mean that makes sense. That's one around. I guess of overall review would be Duck Station is the absolute best. Definitely recommend it. Then PPSSPP, definitely recommend. Nether, I think there's a whole heck of PPS2 emulator. That's just the first one I noticed that was free and didn't have an ad, so that meet my criteria. By the way, all of these are free and don't have ads, so yeah, there's that. But I think of all the consoles that I've at least mentioned, and maybe even total, PS2 has the most emulators, so there's probably a lot of them. Can't really go too wrong with it. So Nether I do recommend as well, but probably if I were to try, it'd be plenty of them that do. And Flycast is it probably do better with like different hardware and stuff. I don't really know for sure, but I just still overall recommend, especially if you don't like the Sega Dreamcast controller anyway. So yeah, and then the others it just didn't work. Other than Winulator, which again leave it in the comments. Maybe there's something to rescreen with that just didn't work. My phone ain't really new enough there, and the Xbox original emulator just is very, very new, so they're still working on that. That one still counts as a beta. I think so, yeah. We're to review the phone itself. I don't think this will be as long, I don't think. I'm definitely not a phone reviewer, so this is very much take as you. I guess the best that I can do is compare it to the phone that I previously used, the Samsung Galaxy S7. Of course, the S23 is better in every technological way. But something that is annoying to me is, for whatever reason, the S23 has all of the physical buttons on the same side. I liked it better with the S7, where the actual power button or to turn the screen on and off all in the same thing. They're being on as of like what you're watching this video, like the top, and then the volume buttons on the bottom. Because even now, of having the phone for a few months, occasionally I'll screw up and I'll hit the power button or screen on. I don't even actually know the official name of it, but you know what I'm talking about. When I'm trying to hit the volume buttons, I like that on the other side. That's just a literal physical like hardware thing that nothing can really be done about it. But in terms of like, well, I guess physical quality of the phone too. It feels the strongest of the phones that I've had. I had Kyocera, which the phone itself, in terms of how long it lasted, was absolute shit. That phone didn't even last a year. I don't remember the exact model. It was absolute shit. Um, Samsung Galaxy Express. I think it was literally called Express. That was like 2012 or something, and that phone still works, but it feels incredibly flimsy. It was called Express. That's one of the ones I'm actually thinking of doing a video on, because the phone still physically works. It turns on, and there's still a few websites it can connect to it and such. And definitely flimsy. I would say that the S23 is even a bit like stronger feeling and is better made and stuff than the S7, but I already put a protection and stuff, both the screen protector and the case on it anyway. So hopefully I can't even jinx myself, even if it does happen. But I've never broken a phone like to the point of it not working. I'm pretty sure all the phones would have at least tiny scratches and stuff on them. By the end, even S7 even had a tiny scratch on the screen that maybe all things considered maybe took up like 1% of the screen or something like that. Not the end of the world. But I mean, all of the phones, even the flimsy Samsung Galaxy Express of like 2012 or something, were strong enough for me where I didn't break them or anything. And I'm me. You can take me as you may if you watched the channel before. So yeah, there's that. So the phones are strong enough for me. Again, take that as you may. So now to actually like software and what it can do. So the majority of things on the phone I don't particularly use all that. I don't do the social media type stuff at all, so I don't really care about that. I don't particularly care about the AI. I mean, like I've said before, if you follow the channel Serum Embrace AI to actually help make the videos and stuff, like better image quality and stuff, like AI upscaling to some extent. That's kind of what you're seeing on screen is, because then I go into UCut to edit all together after then first recording it with like A to Z screen recorder. So there's a little bit kind of upscaling and all that too. The native resolution in which the background is 1080p anyway, so it's not really that big a difference. But we still technically there's scaling in different ways of what the direct even is, even though it kind of all comes out as 1080p because it's using different software going from the screen recorder to the that's also something too, is I could leave it in the comments too if you're still watching this video, then I guess you're really not picking dedicated, unless you just randomly skip to this point, then you're really not picking lucky or unlucky or however you want to word it. I guess depends on your enjoyment of it. But we're all able to find a good video editor that's very. The one that's on the phone is good for an individual video, but from what I can tell, the one on the phone does not combine things, whether it's videos or images and videos together and things like that. So to edit one individual video itself is fine, but like this, where it's pieces and parts of different things and stuff too, I have to use UCut. And UCut has ads, but the way that I was able to do on that, whether it's the S7, whole heck of a heap of S7 content with UCut, probably since like 20. I can't even remember the first one I used on that. Last decade for UCut. It has ads, but actually, if you're quick enough to it and like you press save on what you're doing, and then you just like go back to the home screen and into whatever other app you want to use real quick, and the ad doesn't show up, and it will still do its thing in the background. That's this an annoying thing of whatever it may be, is at least on all of the Samsung phones I had, some things just don't really work properly in the background. I mean, usually it'll tell you, like on Odyssey itself, it says leave this in the foreground, do not go off this page. I mean, whatever, it'll tell you that. But I mean, something like UCut has always worked in the background. I can go and do whatever on the phone. I can have the phone screen completely off, whatever it may be. It's fine. But then any other or most other apps are trying to upload videos on whatever site it may be. What's on that? So that's an annoying thing in general. And another bad thing too about both, I think the Express does it, but frankly I've never really had to do anything kind of where it's just not directly touching it really with the Express. I didn't really do videos with it or anything, so I'll say for certain with the S7 and S23 there is no way to be able to keep the screen on for more than 10 minutes at a time. So that's a real annoying thing with my slow internet uploading videos. I hate giving props to Bluetooth, but it's one of the few things too that it can actually work in the background. I can do other stuff on the phone or have the screen off on the phone totally, but with YouTube Studio I can still upload video network. So like UCut for both phones and YouTube Studio for S23 can do stuff in the background or have the screen off completely or whatever. But where the screen only stays on for 10 minutes, say like uploading a video to Odyssey, that's annoying, because I have to manually touch the screen every like 9 minutes or whatever to keep it going, which means I can't just go to sleep with a video uploading, which was one of the things I actually liked to do before. So that's kind of why in the times in which uploading videos have actually changed over the years, especially generally speaking, the longer the video, the more kind of compared to what the average time which the video will be out, different it will be. Is a lot of it. It isn't just PS4 Direct Capture. Usually has something or another to do with the phone. So yeah, on whatever phone it may be. So yeah, there's that. That's just annoying complaints to me. But the things that are good. It can record in 8K. From what I understand, it's 8K with 30 frames per second. But I mean, whatever. Again, I can't really see the frames per second in just day to day. It's something truly tutorial to make it to where you're literally supposed to see the frames, and maybe I do, but also to maybe placebo, especially to tell you that. Begin with, I don't know. Again, my eyes are really different than most people, but whatever. I could definitely tell the 8K. Like I could tell a slight difference between 4K and 8K, and it can play 8K video. I don't have the internet for 8K video, so basically I just end up downloading it. But yeah, I can download and then watch an 8K video, and it looks amazing. This is the only device I have that can do 8K. So in terms of reviewing 8K to one to the other, not really worth doing. But 4K, even the S7 can record in 4K. I've had some 4K videos. There's shorts, even as far back as like 2020, I think, with Callie. And that video was on the Kipper and Friends channel at Sliver and Odyssey. Actually, could record 4K with that. But with how little actual memory the phone had, very short videos had to be made with that. In terms of a 4K recorded video, or put it like this, I did a 4K tutorial that was really caught picking along like 40 something minutes with this phone compared to a few short 4K videos on the other phone. And the reason I don't do anything 4K anymore is because, like I said, I thought that I could actually just connect my phone directly to the computer and then upload with the library desktop app, but it didn't work. I did a whole video about that. I'm not really going to discuss to that. I think it's mainly just because I'm using Windows 7 and a new phone, so that just doesn't really correlate well. But like I said in that video, I went into more details, and you can leave in the comments in whatever video it may be, but the details are in that video. If y'all have a solution for that, but whatever. So the 4K video in actual 4K is exclusive to YouTube, sadly. But anyway, the point being is that it looks a lot better. I can definitely tell recording a 4K video is a lot better with the 23 than the 7. I mean, the 7 did fine. I can still tell definitely a difference between a 4K video and 1080p, like using the 7. But like in all resolution, there is a slight advantage with the 23. There's also like different formats in which you could do resolution. One of the things I am annoyed with the 23 is the lowest resolution it goes is 720. So like if I really just want to record my voice, I don't really know how to go. Theoretically, I could probably just do a third party thing, like an actual voice recorder, but I would rather a third party thing not really have access to a microphone. So there's that. So again, leave in the comments if there's a workaround for that, like to record audio without really needing a shady third party thing. Would there already be a thing that's on the phone itself, whether it's one of those annoying built-in things or whatever that I'm just not realizing? Leave that in the comments too. I know I'm telling y'all to do a lot of stuff, but hopefully I'm providing enough information where y'all can still benefit from it and not just do the work, like I'm saying too. Hopefully it's kind of like a mutually beneficial thing, hopefully. But yeah, so recording works. Watching videos, again, with 8K, I definitely have to download a video. But watching videos, the S23 blows the 7 out the water. With up to probably 2023 or so, S7, even with my bad internet, could do up to 720 perfectly. Up to 1080p, no problem, probably 98% of the time. And even if it did, it was only buffer for like a second or two. And go on. And then YouTube started doing things with the ad block that I've had for way longer than I've had a phone, 20 plus years. It makes the stuff run harder, so it just, for old technology, it just couldn't really handle it. And then it started buffering a whole heck of a heap. No matter how much the video or buffer, I am not watching the Bluetooth ads. I refuse. Of any error, and especially this error with all of the AI shit, no, not doing it. Not doing it. So, yeah, there's that. In terms of like using ad blockers and stuff, 23 blows it out the water. Even on like Library and Odyssey, I would say the videos do look a little bit better watching them when there's no ads or no slowdown from using stuff or whatever. It runs as is. With Odyssey, the default resolution would be kind of weird. And for me, on whatever phone it may be, it won't save the setting when I put it to original. So I'll be quite frank, the majority of videos that I watch on the phone or on Library, usually the only time I watch the Odyssey videos, it's a live stream that is like going on, or it's a video from a small creator of that many views where it doesn't have any other options but the original. So yeah, if any big creators or any popular videos, Library for that one. It's a weird thing for Odyssey, but that's not really the point of the video, is critiquing Odyssey. I mean, from what I can tell, Odyssey's about to have an amazing thing where it can actually even watch a Bluetooth video directly on Odyssey. So then that's, in a lot of ways, fixed the resolution thing, I guess. That's not quite yeah, but apparently that one is really caught picking soon. From how they word it, most likely it's even out by the time you're watching this video. But I might do a video on that, who knows. I might have already done a video that you've already watched, depending on who knows. I don't script the video. But yeah, the point being is the actual like crispness of the video and stuff is better. It's not incredibly noticed, and like how it compares to TV, I have no idea. The newest TV that I have is 14 years old. Yeah, I think it's like 14. Yeah. I'm not gonna get a new one till it breaks. The newest laptop that I have is the worst one pretty much on the market too. That's 11 years old. So that, I think that one only does 720p, maybe. Or I think it's actually one of the real old ones where it can actually do 1080i. That's like not an option or anything. So I have it 720p. I mean, 720p looks better than 1080. That's like an old school thing. That's like if you're talking about like early PS3 era argument there. So yeah, I don't think the laptop even does 1080p. So we're talking about that. So there's that, and all things considered, yeah, I can definitely tell. Watching video, and then just other like miscellaneous stuff that's cool is a little bit more responsive with talking to it. I don't really do that very much. I mean, of course, especially with phone, I can talk faster. I can type, but the problem with that is I just, if you can actually have access to the microphone, because a lot of times they're going to use it all the time and not when I want it to. So that's just iffy in general with that. That's not really the point of the video, but that's just kind of good security tip in general. A lot of times if it's accessing your microphone, if it wants to, it can do it all the time and not just the times you want it to. So yeah. I do like the thing where you can tap the screen and it will show the time without actually having to turn the screen itself on. That's a nice feature. Just going like actually through the screens and stuff is slightly more responsive. It's even the S7 now. I wouldn't exactly call it clunky. There might be a tiny delay, and then obviously delay more online, especially with the ad blockers and stuff. But in terms of stuff like going through the menus of the phone itself, I can tell the difference between S7 and 23. But yeah, I mean either or for that one. But the S23 is better price overall. I mean, not new, not. And realistically, that's like my review. I will say too, and you're actually hearing it. I record with the microphone of the phone itself. I've done that for ever. Yeah, literally. I think every video ever with my voice in it is recording on a microphone or whatever phone it may be, which is like 99% either the S7 or S23. And it's been S23 since uh, December 4th. Or that's when I got it. I don't know when the first video was. And then the other 1% is, like I've said, it's water under the bridge now. But too much of a bit rate for a 720p video recorded with the S7, but for whatever with the Galaxy Express could. The Express was weird because you could not watch a YouTube video or whatever in 720p, but then you could record in 720p. That was weird. Might do a review on the Express. If y'all want me to, I can. I guess that's something to leave in the comments. I mean, theoretically, I could do a review on that 7 as well, but I feel like that's a little bit more boring. I feel like it's actually more interesting of that a 14-year-old phone is still working. So there's that. So I mean, overall, is it worth the price? I mean, that's usually not something I want to brag about, especially because a lot of times it depends on like reason and sale. I'll say I got a big sale. Hold on, I'll put it like that. What price would I pay absolute max? I still don't even know if that's really the direct deal because the prices in which I was looking at, I'll put it like this: on all the sites I looked at, kind of the best deal for an iPhone would be about 2 generations older than the S23. So like an iPhone from 2021, which was the 13. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was a 13. So I don't have a lot of iPhone products. If I did, they'd be hand-me-downs until who knows how long they'd work. And no one that I know has anything 13 or newer, so I don't even know if the old stuff would work with it. Anyway, I haven't done as much research. And just simply, I'd rather buy a newer phone for it. And I don't have experience with like the Samsung A line or things like that. So again, I'm definitely not a professional reviewer. So in terms of the price and stuff, I'll put it like this: no matter how much you're willing to pay, definitely do a whole heck of a heap of research and definitely fine tune the price per what you're getting. I don't recommend getting a super cheap phone because a lot of times the real cheap stuff's stealing your data and stuff. And especially if it's new, most likely you can probably get an S7 for real cheap, and that's going to last you longer than a cheap new phone. I had first-hand experience with that. Again, I don't really have experience with cheap new phone, but that goes about anything really. I definitely don't recommend a really expensive one either. Like, frankly, an S26. I think that's a pretty recently before making this video. I think it's S26. So sure has miscellaneous cool stuff. Can't really say exact specifics. I don't really look into that because I'm never gonna buy a new whatever generation. Maybe even if I had that kind of money, again, more money, it's like I said before, just wouldn't really go for that. And all in all, I would say it's worth what I paid for it. I'll put it like this. Again, I think it depends on reasons and sales and stuff. But from how I understand the prices of it, at least where I would have considered getting it from when it was new, I paid about a quarter of that price. That's like considering me doing my research and stuff then compared to doing research and all that now, or like Black Friday of 2025. It's about a quarter of the price. And it's refurbished as new. I'm not a whole heck of a heap of experience with what's literally called refurbished, but I've also literally never had a new phone either. So every phone that I have is used. So refurbished in some way, shape, or form, whatever. I would assume as new definitely means more than like just cleaning it or something like that. And My hope is because the previous products are still working, that this one's going to last me at least 6 or 7 years, I hope. I'd prefer 10 plus. I mean, if I can go to the mid 2030s without getting a phone again, that would probably be my goal. Unless for some reason stuff drops crazy in price, which I'm not particularly expecting. I mean, who knows? Maybe AI can really revolutionize the technological stuff eventually, but that might not be till like mid 2030s before. Who knows? If it ever. That's not really the point. The point being is that I definitely want it to last for a while. And I did do reviews of not just like the price and the features and stuff, how good the phones are still lasting. And I've not really heard of many people saying their phone outright quit working. About the worst thing as of a little bit before Black Friday 2025, I heard of the S23, is some people would get like a singular green line on their phone after an update or something, and then the next update would fix it. So, like during the span of the Samsung updates, there would be a little green line on the phone. But literally, I've done as much research as I really know how and could deal with. A lot of times it's either bots or stupid people. Yeah, what I can deal with, you can take that as you may. Uh, and as of now, for a fairly new phone, it's still reliable. But I mean, more than anything that's going on, I had Samsungs in the past. They're reliable. I know they're kind of 1A, 1B with true and real technology. So I figured that was a good combination to get as much technology as it could for the price and also reliable. Combine all that together. I definitely don't regret the choice I made. Granted, I wish the economy would be in a way in which didn't have to bet on stuff going way up in price, but that's my bet is that things will go up in price, so that's the reason I bought it as much more than anything is because of that. I probably would have waited even longer. Who knows how long? It might have been completely till the S7 died. I don't know. Started running a lot slower gradually in like 2013 and then real noticeable, or 2023 and real noticeable at 25 with the ad blocks and stuff. So, I mean, that might have actually been killing it too. Who knows? But, I mean, pretty much water under the bridge now. I mean, I don't really even use that phone. Now, it pretty much was a clean transition between some videos I already recorded on that phone were uploaded by the time I got the new phone because there's probably a week or so of research and stuff before Black Friday to figure that out, and that correlated with the video. So there's that as well. So I mean, overall, I don't have enough experience with phones to say exactly what would be for you, but I mean, this is truly really my experience with it. That's kind of another reason I put this at the end of the video because I'm probably on no more with the emulators and stuff. But I mean, overall, all things considered, with the emulators and the phone, it's most certainly worth the yeehaw. I don't recommend spending almost no money on a phone because you can get scammed. I most certainly don't recommend spending a whole heck of a heap of money on a phone. But in terms of emulators, there's plenty out there that are great, that are free and no ads. So I wouldn't say ever spend any money on an emulator unless you actually want to get the physical console itself to run stuff, which teach their own on that. No complaints to that. The way that I see it with the piracy thing is as long as the game has been discontinued in terms of the company officially selling it, in my opinion, it's fine to do whatever with. So let's say like GT Sport and Drive Club type thing, those have been discontinued from the PlayStation Store. In my opinion, those are fair game. Something like GT7 or Forza Horizon 5, not yet. I'm not gonna rat anyone out for doing stuff with it. Hell, I think at times even when GT Sport was still listed, I'd repost videos of people modding it. But that's just my own personal thing. I'm not against others doing it. That's just my own personal. I know I'm not the most lenient. I know I'm not the most strict on it. I'm kind of in the middle. So some people either way are probably going to be pissed off. But I mean, yeah. Of all the games I've shown, I'll put it like that. Of all the games I've shown, I have, and even that y'all have seen that I have as well. Will that continue? We'll see. But I'll do my best too. I'll put it like that. I'll do my best without spending money. I'm not going to spend any money on emulators and stuff, and hopefully I won't have to spend any money on a phone for a long time too. And if all that ends up happening, which as of now, to knock on wood, can y'all hear it? How good is that? That's some ASMR or whatever. Yeah, that ain't.